Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the stream. We're gonna figure out if this works. I'm currently streaming from a hotspot. Not the most reliable connection in the world. Talking to you through my AirPod. Hopefully that sounds okay. Just waiting to see how it's all going, waiting to see if anybody's in here. Can you hear me all right? Is it good? Am I alive? I don't know how reliable this is gonna be. Gonna be drawing some techie dudes. We're currently deep out in the middle of the woods. I'm working from my laptop with I had a Cintiq Pro 16-inch sent to the place we're staying at, so I didn't miss Thursday, and I'm working on that. Okay, cool. So as always, if anybody has any kind of questions about anything, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm just going to be sketching around, drawing androids and whatever comes to my head, and then maybe we'll have a chance to flesh stuff out after this. That's more like it. Felix asks, how large are your canvases? I draw very detailed stuff, but when I make a side larger than 10K pixels, it starts to slow down a lot. Depends what I'm doing. I would say, generally speaking, my stuff hovers around 8,000 as like the larger dimension on one side. But if I'm working on like a giant image for somebody, for like a client or something, then I can go up to like 16,000 pixels, something like that. But generally speaking, I try to have all my stuff be as large as possible for clients so they have multiple uses for it. And, you just kind of buy a computer that works with that, and you can get better and better computers, as you need, as you get money and can actually invest in yourself. And then you can work on bigger file sizes and whatever. I'm just winging it, by the way. I don't have any idea of what I'm doing. I'm just kind of playing with this tablet. I just got this thing hooked up today. I'm not super used to working on a small screen, but I have to say that so far I actually really like it. I like the constrained size quite a bit. I was thinking of using this for this trip and then returning it when I got home, but now I actually really like it. I might set this up as like a second way to work that's not locked to my office, because this is pretty cool. This is all the convenience of the iPad, pretty much. I mean, as long as I'm connected to my laptop. But yeah, I don't really use my iPad to draw. I still, after all this time, haven't fully embraced Procreate like everybody else. I wish I could. I wish I had that magic sauce, whatever that is, whatever that feel is that I just do not have on my iPad. I'm just not used to it. Must be like how people talk about, like when people start drawing on a Intuos or like a Cintiq for the first time, and they're like, "How the hell do you get used to the pressure sensitivity?" And like, it just feels so awkward. Like that's me with an iPad. It's like I'm just not getting the same results. I don't know. Maybe something's wrong with me. Vinicio says, how do you recommend to... Okay, so it's kind of a weird way of phrasing it. How do I get through studying without getting too frustrated? Or how do I get through the frustration while studying? I don't know. It's more consistency than anything else. It's like, yes, you might be frustrated, with your results or just doing the same thing over and over again. You kind of just have to get obsessed with the process of improvement. Honestly, that's my like best advice is kind of don't think about it like you're ever going to be done with that process. It's not about that. It's about being consistent. It's not about being the person who studies and does 500 hours and then gets burned out. It's about being the person that does a little bit every day and is consistent for years or whatever it takes until you feel comfortable just producing stuff. Johnny Pearson sculpting a witch. Hey, very good. Fuzzy Whisperer asks, Dave, I've been having issues rendering with the Milli pen from the marker subtool list in Clip Studio. I love the marker effect. The artist, Mr. Kasui, I don't know who says, I don't know how you say that name. Achieves with that brush. Milli pen. I'm not sure if I've used that. You can actually adjust your pressure sensitivity in Clip Studio, though, as well as, your actual tablet, but sometimes that helps, just adjusting in the actual program. What really sucks, some of the inking brushes for me in Clip Studio, I like when they have kind of like a heavy flow to them. And well, it's that time of month. But it hurts some other brushes. But I love the freeform line of a inking brush that feels like the ink's just pouring out. Like I love that. But yeah. I kind of make little sacrifices for certain effects. It's funny how just working at a different size makes you think of things differently. Like I'd always heard that with pens and different color pens when you're writing to come up with different ideas because it makes you think differently, but I never thought about that with like the size of my tablet. Something about this little tiny size feels kind of like cozy in a way where I feel more like I'm drawing in my sketchbook. It's kind of nice. I feel like I'm like locked into a space rather than having a huge open screen where I can have multiple like windows open at the same time. I might set this as a comic tablet, really, for inking. As Dan and I are going to get back into making Steve Lichman, and this would be the kind of the ideal size to have to just sit in the backyard and draw. Aaron Gordon says, I just discovered you on Pinterest and your artwork is inspiring. I've been back drawing consistently. I typically use pencil. I have other mediums, tablets, ink, etc., but pencil's my go-to. Any advice? Work on the things that you feel uncomfortable with. I always find that if you're stuck, and not stuck, I guess, but if you prefer one thing because of comfort, you tend to kind of you stay in the same, I don't know, way of like expressing yourself. You tend to run down the same paths over and over again. And when you try different things, the same thing I was saying about using this size tablet makes me think differently. Like different mediums make you think differently. So I think it's very beneficial to try multiple approaches. And if you want to get into digital, like most people, I think, who get into working in like Procreate, coming straight from traditional, they have an easier time than, at least it's my understanding, they have an easier time than people who jump from that straight to like a Wacom tablet, because it feels more intuitive. But that's spoken from somebody who sucks at Procreate. So I don't know. Could just be talking out of my ass. I'm so glad I can stream from this place in the middle of nowhere. It's crazy. They have like a Starlink here, but it's not great. It's not even close to as fast as my hotspot is. This guy's kind of cool. He's almost like Cell or something from Dragon Ball Z. Where am I? At the top of like a mountain in New Hampshire, far like up in the White Mountains. It's this place with this beautiful view of like the whole mountain range. Like, it's really nice. And Kim's behind me, my wife. She's sitting in bed right now on her phone. And we're just, yeah, she's trying to get her phone to work, and our kids are just sleeping. But yeah, we had it's pretty funny. We had arrived here, and as soon as we arrived, we noticed that there was like this humongous hornet's nest in the front of the house in this apple tree. And we've been here for a couple of years, like on and off on vacations. So we've come like 3 years in a row now. And there's always been kind of like hornets and wasps and whatever around here. But this time there's this giant like bigger than like a basketball. Well, it's like basketball size, but then like cones on the top and bottom, right? Like that kind of shape. So huge hornet's nest, and they're those like black and white bald, whatever they're called, bald faced hornets or something like that. So they're pretty dangerous, and our kids love playing out in the yard here and like playing with the apple tree and all this. So I called the dude who maintains the property and asked if he could come over and take care of it. And he came over, and he just came over in a t-shirt and shorts and like from his car just sprayed the nest with like 2 cans and then drove away, and then came back the next day, and I was talking to him outside. And I was just like, oh, what's the plan for actually removing the nest? He's like, I'm just going to put it in a bag and take it out of here. He's like, I don't really see the hornets around. And I was like, oh, what are you going to like, I was like, you going to put on anything to like take care of it so you don't get stung? And he just goes, he's like, no, I'm just going to wear my t-shirt and shorts. So it's just this dude with those ball-faced hornets, like, they're all over the yard. And we're just watching him from the window in the house, just him walking over to this tree with the trash bag, just grabbing the nest and pulling it out. I was like, that's so crazy. I would never do that. Ball face, like black and white, they spray venom in your eyes. And they can sting you multiple times and bite you, like all sorts of shit. I was like, all right, man. I was like, if that's what you're going to do, I was like, go for it. That's wild. And he did it. And then he just put the bag of hornets in his car and drove away. It's like you're just driving around this bumpy ass road with a bag of hornets. Like, what the fuck? Like, we were picturing him just like us leaving the house and just seeing his car crash into a tree. Just the inside swarm, just a dead body in there. Just another hornet's nest in the shape of a body. Flying out of his eyes. It was so gnarly. I was like, that's amazing. To just be like, whatever. Just gonna figure it out. I don't know what he did with that bag of hornets, but maybe he ate it. What's up, fellow gamers? Are we gaming? Unfortunately not. I watched that video of Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy VII, was it Rebirth? I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it's crazy how much stuff they put into this one now. Because the initial remake was fine, you know? But you know, you're like hoping for all the extra stuff. And man, this new one looks like they put everything in it. It's crazy. That looks so good. I'm really excited for that. Yeah, Kim's saying that she's never played it. So that's going to be fun to watch her play through it. We took turns basically like watching each other play through 16. We're not done with it yet. We're like right at the end. It's just the natural way when you have kids. Games take you 10,000 years to beat. Yeah, Rebirth. It just looks nuts. Like, I can't believe you get to do pretty much everything. When they showed the golden saucer, I was like, ooh. And then Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, I mean, it's pretty much just as soon as our kids are like 4 and basically 3, so as soon as they graduate, I'm going to play through Baldur's Gate 3 once they're going to college. and that's when I'll have time, I'm sure. So I can't wait to see what everybody's talking about. Hey, PK Guns, what's up? I am just practicing with this teeny tiny Cintiq that I have. I feel very lucky that I don't have any dead pixels on this thing. I mean, it's inevitable, right? But right now I don't have them, which is nice from all the reviews I've seen of this thing and just the Pro line in general. Any tips for artistic, creative juices flowing for concept art? Uh, take in other things besides other artists' work. So read a lot and watch stuff that's not popular movies. Like, I don't know, get into things, get deep into stuff, deep into history and design throughout, and also like older stuff that people have kind of forgotten. I think it's kind of like I have this weird thing where everything's kind of becoming homogenized with this. I don't know. There's a million reasons for it, but one of them is that people only take in one specific type of like media. People don't really read a whole lot anymore, and then it's like outside of the 10 out of 10 video games, people aren't playing like even the moderately good stuff that might have some really great design things in them. And I more or less am thinking about when I was young and you didn't really have access to a ton of reviews or anything like that, so you'd kind of just take in everything. At least I did. Since there was like a big focus on like renting when I was young, so like you would just rent games and whatever, and you'd play pretty much everything with cool box art on it, and just like took in a large variety, even in just that space. But then outside of that, it was like how bored I used to get, and I'd go to the library and just take out a ton of different books and look through all the pictures and things of like, just different empires throughout the ages, and all that stuff ends up getting like trapped away in your head, and going through like old Arthur Rackham illustrations and things from different books and taking in a bunch of different influences. And yeah, I think just having a ton of different input helps a lot. But if you only play the same things or read the same things or watch the same things everybody else watch, then I feel that you kind of end up with the same idea of where things are headed as everybody else. So you don't really do that much new stuff. And the same thing goes from like looking at other artists' work. I think it's the same idea where you kind of just you can get locked into your own universe too much, and it's like a bit incestuous where you kind of just regurgitate what everybody else is doing. Yeah. It's about really like having a like a hunger for a large variety of things. Because then you might do something that seems new to other people, but not to you because you know where you saw something or got an influence from. But to everybody else, it's like they don't take in that stuff, so it feels fresh and different. You feel that your art is getting really repetitive, like generic fantasy, and you need to switch it up. Well, then maybe you just need to find some other thing that you can inject into fantasy. Like I was thinking of doing like this is an original idea, but I was thinking of Halloween costumes, and I was just thinking of like, oh, Wild West witch. Like, what would that look like? I was thinking of like a spell gun that you could load potions into and have like bandoliers of vials and like different things like that. And obviously all the cowboy hat. It's probably been done a million times, but like that's my very generic Halloween idea for the kids. But like that concept of just mixing two things together, like even stuff like that is easy enough to do to make new ideas, even if they're not super unique. It's just something. And if you go further down that road, you can come up with more stuff. Oh, by the way, just to kind of put this out there, I don't usually do a ton of like full works in Photoshop, but right now I'm working in Photoshop to sketch and kind of thumbnail out things, which is actually what I do most of the time when I start working. I just use like a chalk brush and just draw. I also sketch things out in my sketchbook, take a picture of it with my phone, and then send that picture to myself, and then render everything out in the computer. Yeah, that Final Fantasy VII looks nuts. I don't even know. It's like exactly what I wanted. I'm definitely tired of the everybody in hoods and cloaks shit, which is so lame, but whatever, I get it. Be great to never see that again. Am I smelling the witches in the woods? Absolutely. That's the only reason you come to the woods, to smell the witch. I get so sick of smelling the witch. Thanks. Thanks. You haven't seen a scanner in like 10 years. A lot of phones are good enough that people just use that instead. Yeah, I mean, I just don't like the idea that I need some high res thing for a shitty thumbnail I did in my sketchbook is like, come on. Like, unless I'm doing like even so, like what do I want with the scanner? Like I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish with it. Like if I had a painting that I really liked, I'd take a picture of it with a really nice camera. I wouldn't scan it. I don't know what I would do with a scanner. Yeah, I might have to work this tablet into my regular workflow. I really like starting stuff this way. Feels very cozy using this little 16-inch Cintiq. It feels like I'm working in my sketchbook. Like it actually feels that way. That's nice. Resident Evil Village is your favorite? That was really good. I liked Village a lot. Gray Minds, do you normally use tons of layers and masks and multiple layers and all that, or do you work simpler? I like using a ton of shit. I'll use like a million layers in my stuff because I like control, and I love being able to go back through my process and see everything. Riley was saying that you showed your girlfriend the Smell the Witch song and she loves it, but she never pays attention to lyrics, so she doesn't know it's the lamest song of all time. Hey, she'll know. Once she starts smelling that witch harder, she's gonna get a taste of how lame things can get. Wait till she hears Parasite God by Mortis. I can't even remember his name. Mortis. Nathan Jake's dad. Nathan James, isn't that his name? I can't remember his name even. Nathan Drake, that's who I'm thinking of. Spooky season is among us. It is. Johnny is saying there's a few cryptid stories here in Arkansas. Oh, there's cryptids everywhere. All you gotta do is look for them. You can see them. I was thinking, you know how the Mothman always shows up right before a tragedy? Like if you've ever heard of the Mothman, they're like, oh, it shows up and then something crazy happens. It'd be amazing if you did that with like your divorce. If you're driving home with your wife from the movies, you're oh shit, babe, look right up there. Ah, fuck! It's an 8 foot tall, 8 foot tall man with bat wings, bright red eyes. Oh, god damn it! Something bad's gonna happen. And then a week later, giving your wife divorce papers. I couldn't help it. It was prophesized. The Mothman showed up right before this. It's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that we're getting a divorce. The Mothman, you remember, right? I want to do that. Just different things happening. You hit your kids, but you saw the Mothman last week, right? It wasn't me. The Mothman's a great scapegoat. Shit. I didn't. I got drunk again. And I hurt someone. Well, this is another prophetic case, the lawyers would say. Only Native American lawyers deal with Mothman cases. They do some heavily racist shit, like coming in with incense, spraying it everywhere. The sacred ground's been corrupted. What is this song? I think it's Fever Ray. Hey, listen. I like it. It's right now that's my favorite kids' music is Fever Ray. Been listening to it a lot. Their new album's good. Ooh, ooh. That Bog Witch tutorial really helped me a great deal to understand digital painting. I really wanted to thank you a great deal. I get clients because of your tutorials that translate into 3D. Hey, thanks, Daniel. I'm glad that helped you in some way. Who are my favorite comedians, if I got any? I have a bunch. I probably listen to every stand-up special that comes out, even the ones that I think are going to be bad. I like stand-up enough, and I'm always working at home, so whenever anything like that comes out, I just put it on. Because I always figure there's something in there that's gonna be good, even if like the majority of it's not. But yeah. Uh, who are my favorite comedians? I mean, right now, that Shane Gillis special was really good. And before you come at me for the Stop Asian Hate, my best friend is Asian. It's my wife, and she's right behind me. And my kids are a quarter Asian. So I can't possibly be racist by association. You hear Kim? She said it's true. No, but it's a really good special, that one on Netflix. We went and saw that one live. It was great. Uh, what else? Um, I like that. What one? Yeah, Mark Norman's one was really good. That just came out. I mean, his past one was good too, just like a machine gun of jokes. And then, I mean, I like all the people that have been canceled in some way or another. So it's like, I still really love Louis C.K. stuff and Dave Chappelle and all the people that are, that were the number one, the obvious ones. And then I like a ton of people that are kind of underground. Tim Butterly was really good when we saw him live. There's a bunch. Yeah, Norm Macdonald, absolutely. Norm Macdonald was like my number one. He was big in my family when I was little because my dad really liked Norm Macdonald, so we watched a bunch of that stuff when I was a kid. 'Cause I specifically remember my dad being like, "That guy's smart." I was like, "Okay, cool." And we watched George Carlin all the time too. We had all that stuff recorded back when people just recorded stuff with their VCRs off the TV. Yeah, the canceled stuff is gnarly. It's just, you know, empathy goes all ways. At least in some cases. The knee jerk stuff is the stuff that's sad. Or just the stuff where people get excited to tear people down. That's what's sad to me. Jacobo, 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 Jasobo. He says, I've been obsessing over the art of Six More Vodka. How do they manage to make dynamic splash art? I'm curious because I'd love to work for them one day. Most of the initial drawings are done by Marko Đurđević, so he's just a very good draftsman and can draw anatomy in very dynamic angles. So if you want to know how to do that, it's just practice all the time. Unfortunately. That's it. Almost always the most obvious answer is the right one. Especially when it comes to people like that who are just amazing. You're like, how did they do that? Oh, they drew every day for 20 years. Oh, shit. Shit. Oh. My name is supposed to be the Spanish version of Jacob. I don't think so. I don't think so, Jacob. You're not gonna trick me by calling yourself Jacobo. I refuse. Don't lie to me, Jacob. Is there a more efficient way to practice? I mean, I guess that's for you to find out from doing it over and over again and being like, oh, this worked, this didn't work. I gel with this more than this, and kind of figuring out what's best for you. Honestly, for me, I never really agreed with this idea that like there's one way for everybody to get ahead. And I never knew exactly what I was doing. So I felt like I really oh, sorry, this song caught me off guard. I felt like I really needed to be analytical about what I was doing because most of what everybody else was doing didn't gel with me. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable just drawing constantly. And like it didn't excite me to sit there and do anatomy all the time. So I've talked about this before, but doing animation and kind of breaking things down frame by frame and just kind of doing my anatomy based off that helps a lot. It's like if I had some other goal associated with studying, like, oh, I'm making a comic, but I'm also studying anatomy while I make a comic, that was always more effective for me because the comic would involve tons of drawings. The same thing with an animation. And so over time, I'd do all those studies, but I'd also be accomplishing another goal at the same time. So that was my way around it because I felt like, what, I'm just doing these studies in a vacuum and they serve no purpose. Otherwise, this feels useless and stupid to me. So I just needed to find another way to do it. And no, I know that you're serious and you're from the Dominican Republic. I'm just joking. I don't actually think your name is a lie. Might be. Had a beautiful day of finding frogs in the woods with one of my boys. It was great. Looking for monster blood, specific kind of mushroom that's bright orange, also known as monster blood. Jim says, aside from the Starville stuff, I haven't seen you do anything animation related. Have you done any more animated projects? I did like little things here and there. I had like a Metroid short thing that I did a long time ago. I did a couple things for Skull and Shark that were very minimal as far as animation goes. It's just like moving pictures and stuff. Um, I did like a lot of sprite animation things back in the day. I did. What else did I do? There's a project that hasn't been released where I did a bunch of animation for like an animated comic that was like very long. Uh, yeah, just things here and there. I used to do animation also for concept art back when I had the time to do that, where I would do like an example of how I saw something working for a character design. So if I had like a gun animation or something like that, I would just draw the loose frames of that. So I kind of incorporate it into my workflow like every once in a while. But you know, nothing like super intricate and nothing I would say like I'm an animator for doing. Just hobbyist things. You want to write your own comic, but you don't know where to start with the character designs. Very simple, readable shapes, nice silhouettes, really, and simple colors so that everything's readable from a distance. You also want to make sure that your art style facilitates like broadly across the comic, like the visuals of the characters and things. So it's like make sure that your characters pop off the environments and that they're always easy to see and distinguish from one another. I feel like all that stuff's real important. Like for animation, I feel like it's very similar. Where it's if you're going to draw this character a million times, it's up to you. It's like you can spend a lot of time on whatever you're doing and do complex character designs and have that be, you know, your comic. But I think in general, if you look at iconic characters throughout history, almost all of them are relatively simple. So it's pretty important to just try and keep things simple, and you know, that way you have not like you're guaranteed this, but you're more likely to come up with something iconic. But yeah, making sure that you're drawing something that you feel comfortable drawing 1,000 times. I'm just improvising this drawing. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just playing with this tablet and figuring stuff out as I go. You thought you recognized my style when looking through your not safe for work Hotel Transylvania archive? That'd be amazing. Yes. Kim was asking me if I've ever heard of phone booth boxing. I have. One of the good things about being over here on the East Coast of the United States is that I'm in a much easier time zone for everybody. So, streams a little earlier. Gonna be here for a little while, so the next couple streams will be here. So they'll be a little bit earlier than normal. And this was just a test stream, really, because I wasn't sure if I'd even be able to do this with a mobile hotspot and this new tablet. So the next one will be more involved. We'll have more people on. This one's just me. Hello. What are my thoughts on the state of the comic book industry? There was this hashtag called Comics Broke Me where artists talked about industry struggles. Also, apparently, there have been low sales. I'm not super familiar with mainstream comics or just general publisher stuff. Everything that we do is self-published. Self-published, I haven't really seen any sort of issues. We keep things pretty simple. It's just my buddy Dan and I. So, and then one distributor. So as far as income goes, we take the bulk of that between us. So I haven't really felt any hit there. Yeah, I don't feel that pain that other people are feeling, but I can imagine that's pretty rough. I mean, comics are so hard, and then to be kind of screwed on top of that, it's rough. I mean, like the work involved is intense. Like I understand why people would just go over to do concept art or whatever else because it's just much better for pay and comfort. Eric says, a follow-up question from last week's stream. You mentioned last week that you had a conversation with a reputable illustrator and you swore that you would never end up like him career-wise. Would you say that being prolific in multiple industries as well as owning your own property and Steve Lichman were the factors that made the difference for you? It definitely helps. I wasn't like trying... I didn't have some clear-cut goal in mind when I decided I wouldn't be that person. I didn't have some wholly realized idea of who I would be. I just wanted to do a variety of things. Steve Lichman happened basically on accident. Like there wasn't really a plan for that. It was just winging it and trusting that, naively trusting that if we decide we're going to do something, we can follow through and it can be a real thing. And if there's pressure from a Kickstarter, then we can finish this book. Like there's stuff like that. So yeah, I think as far as all that being the difference for me, it's ended up that way. Like I end up doing a bunch of different things now, and having streams of revenue come from different places has made it a lot easier to survive and thrive in the industry. But I feel like that's everything, right? Isn't that like every industry? You diversify, and that creates stability, and it also allows you to never really get too bored. Yeah. I just didn't want to be somebody who got stuck in like a dying field ever. Like I wanted to have my art in multiple spaces, so I wasn't ever stuck. But yeah, owning your own thing and selling that stuff is much better. It was really brave of Dave to pivot away from the not safe for work he was so known for, especially at such a late stage in his erotic art career. Yeah. Well, the real reason for that was just I was like, when I was doing the kind of just joke comics that were, hentai in quotes and never showed like sex or anything. It was just It's just rude comics for rude boys. But when I was doing that, I was just doing it because I didn't have a whole lot of other stuff going on at the moment, and I wasn't like locked down into anything. So I just kind of was doing whatever that was funny to me. And that was kind of coming off of all the work that I'd done on Steve Lichman. And once I get in the headspace of working on something like Steve, I love that I can talk in other characters' voices and be weird and do stupid stuff. Like, that's very attractive to me. And so I just wanted to keep doing that. And that's basically what all of that was when I was doing like the not safe for work shit. But the reason I stopped is because right after that, my whole career kind of just like pivoted into this lane where I was getting tons of work, like tons of high profile stuff. And I could tell that like the people who were hiring me were getting uncomfortable. I mean, directly they told me like, can you please delete that off your Twitter? Because we don't want to be associated with you in any way if that's what you're posting. And I told them, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, like that's stupid. Like I told their PR people or whoever it was, I forget. I was like, no, I'm not doing that because, you know, like I was like, can you imagine if I told people that you were telling me that I can't express myself sexually on the internet like this? I was like, there'd be an uproar around you guys censoring me and in what I feel is right with my body. But I was just like, it's not the controversy you think it is what I was basically trying to say to them. I was like, the controversy is you making me stop doing that. People would hate that. And I was like, so it's very dumb. It's a dumb idea to tell me to stop. Anyway, I wasn't that serious. I thought it was funny. And I wasn't like, I'm not going to sabotage my career just because I want to draw funny comics. Like, who gives a shit? But yeah, it was reckless of me, is what I would say. But if I were my own person who never worked for anybody else but me, then I would keep doing it. But the fact is that there's a handful of jobs I want to do before I'm just my own person doing stuff. Like there's like the bucket list of little kid things that you want to be part of, like certain game franchise things, whatever. That you're like, okay, check those off the list first, and then go be an idiot in the corner and have nobody want to be associated with you. It's like that's still an option, and I mean honestly, it's inevitable. That's who I actually am. Like me doing like art for companies and things and like all this big whatever stuff like promotional works and things like that's cool, but that's like I don't know, like 30% of me. And then Steve Lichman, as far as like who I am, how I talk, how I joke around, whatever, that's like 80% me. And then Garfield hentai, that's like 90% me. Some erotic artists are blacklisted. Well, I'm not like, don't take it the wrong way. My fucking Garfield comics are not erotic art. They're dumb jokes. They're blue jokes at the most. Like they're not racy. Like nothing happens in them. There's no like sex in them. I'm not an erotic artist. That's just like buried in me isn't an erotic artist. It's like yeah, fucking penetration and threesomes. I'm gonna draw it. Like, what am I gonna do all this concept art? I just want to. I just want to draw fucking. Like I don't. Like I'm not that person. That's not me. I just want to joke around. And the problem is that the jokes can get me in trouble. But it is funny. It is funny to be pressured into stop joking. Stop joking right now or we won't hire you anymore. Yeah, stop drawing this smut. It's like my mom. Like a lot of these companies are like my mom. They're like, we cannot be associated with that. Stop drawing this devil shit. Stop drawing this sexy devil shit that you've been drawing lately. It's too much. It's making me too horny. You don't know what it's making me do. It's making me crazy horny. You're the one making me horny. It's making me angry. Like the worst it ever got, like on Steve Lichman, we definitely pare it back a little bit. Well, I would say it's because Dan and me are both a part of it. If it were just me, then I don't know. It'd be way worse. It would be so much worse. I need the sounding board of somebody to be like, hey, not that. Because I would do it. I do all of it. But it's not all a good idea. Shouldn't do all that stuff. But it is nice if you have another person there that's like, that's crazy. You can't put that in. So what you end up doing is you find the way to something even stronger than what you had initially. Because what you had, you know, if the first joke or whatever you had was basically like essentially a hammer to hit somebody over the head with, it's like then you end up with something much more elegant. It's like a very dressed up, disguised hammer, and like it's way more eloquent, and like those are better. So it's like somebody tells you probably shouldn't do that. It's like, well, how can I do what I said I wanted to do, but have it be acceptable to people? And then it's finding that is nice. You're afraid of who I am at 100% if 90% of me is Garfield hentai. I mean, I don't know. I write that stuff down in notebooks. And then I show Kim and she's like, oh, I don't know. You should say it like that. I don't know. Like some of the comic ideas, I just like read. I'll just read them and then just look at her face. And I'm like, she's not laughing at that. Probably not working. No, that's exactly what Unacceptable Comics is. It's my alias. Somebody in the chat was saying I should have an alias. I mean, I haven't gone and done. I'm not like trying to get destroyed on the internet. Like I would do something along the lines of like Berserk, but something happens where if you're joking and you do stuff like that, it's way worse somehow. I mean, not like I would do that same exact kind of thing, but in the way that like Berserk is kind of open to anything. Hey, EJ Fudd got there before I even said it. Exactly. I mean, not that scene, but you know what I mean. Now you just carve Garfield into your skin with your nails while you shower. Exactly. You notice that you guys have really dulled your claws about joking about Dan being dead. No, I still do that. Dave found the eclipse hilarious. No, I didn't find it hilarious, alright. I would just know what I'd want to do if I did the eclipse. What would I do? I'm gonna see how this feels in Clip Studio. Let me like mute mute. Let me shut off my screen for a second. I'll turn it back on after I hop over. Oh, and I gotta figure out why Clip Studio is gonna be all fucked up on this screen. Yeah, everything's gigantic because the last second monitor I had was my 32-inch 4K Cintiq, which is huge compared to this. Alright, let's open that up. The only thing that sucks about this Cintiq is the resolution in the screen. It's just not very sharp. Which is kinda cool, but I don't know. Not the best. We could do like an inking thing with this guy. It could be cool. Why Clip Studio over Photoshop? Feels better? I just think as far as drawing goes, I like it better. It has more intuitive brushes, or brush engine. I mean, but each one has their own, you know, positives, negatives. But as far as that whole blacklisted erotic artist thing, I was joking about how I'm not an erotic artist because, you know, clearly I never drew any of that shit. But I wasn't blacklisted, but I definitely lost out on jobs because of it. And I was just like, all right, let's hit the brakes on this for a minute. Eric says, have you and Dan settled on which book you'll pursue after Steve 3? Not like 100%, but there's a ton of options. I wrote a full Starvale script a while ago, like a few years ago. Like more than a few, like 5 years ago. And that's just been sitting on a back burner for a long time. I just spent like 3 weeks or something writing a script. So that's one that exists. Did I stop posting on Patreon? I took a huge break, which I am really excited to be done with. That's kind of what I'm doing on this trip, is I'm going to be doing Patreon stuff and then posting things and being more regular with content. And then also, Dan and I are starting Steve Volume 3, and that'll be on there. As far as like process goes, we're going to do like script things and breakdowns of like how we're thinking about the pages and, you know, just kind of like behind the scenes process work, which will be fun to do. I've just been working on a million things because we were trying to buy a house, and then And we did. Now that my wife and I have a house for the family and everything, life is slowly coming back to normal. Is my vision bad from staring at a screen all day? It's gotten worse, but it's surprisingly not terrible. I mean, I'm getting older, so it's just inevitable that my vision's going to be shit at some point. But you can improve your vision. You just have to stare at a tiny bug 20 feet away every hour or whatever. I can't remember what the doctor told me. But I asked the vision master at Walmart, I was like, can I get better at seeing? And they said, yes, you can improve your vision. And I said, really? They said, yes. And I said, tell me how. And they said, drink Monster energy drinks 3 times a day. And Doritos. Eat Doritos. You'll find a strength you didn't know was possible. No, they just told me to do something like archery or something like that. You like to think all of my drawing file names are just poop related until I change them. It's something like that. So much of my, like, I have shorthand for a lot of my file names. Like, a huge number of my files are whatever name of the thing I'm working on. And then if I'm painting on top of it, it's that name plus PO at the end, which is just paint over. And then that's the system for about 1,000,000 things in my computer, which is very dumb. I'm not organized with my files. I try to every once in a while get organized, but then it immediately reverts to something that makes 0 sense. And I have a grasp on what I'm doing for a little while, and then that fades. Like, as soon as whatever job I'm working on is over, I forget what I named everything. Because everything's like VK26PO. And I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck is that? Like, if a client comes back and like, could you send us like the original file for that? We can't seem to find it. And I'm like, I can't seem to find it. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, the sages at Walmart helped sort out my eyes. They said your spectral orbs are dulling, Master Raposa. And I said, are they, fair mystic maiden? And she said, yeah, bitch. And then she sprayed my eyes with Clorox, and she said, and she went, now they're all clean. Get all those cobwebbies off those spears of yours. And she said, look into the future, what do you see? And I said, me with a butt gut. And she said, hell yeah, 2020. You will have a butt gut by the year 2030. Thanks. Thanks, bitch. Mm-hmm. 6.5 years and 3,000 beers. My kids are gonna call me shitbag. It's actually not too far off. My son Axel, he's been going, "Hey, Papa." And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "You're a big fat pig." And I go, "Yeah, I'm a big fat pig." And then he puts his nose up with his finger and he goes at me. And I go, "How the fuck are you four? How are you four and bullying me?" It's crazy. But I laugh and I say, "Hey, I'm the only person in this world you can call a big fat pig and then oink at, okay? It makes me laugh. It doesn't make anybody else laugh. Just remember that. If you get hit in the face, just remember my words of wisdom." What's my take on the AI art thing? I'll do it real quick. I'm hopeful that there'll be regulations put in place to protect artists. I hope that there'll be some sort of opt-in thing, and I hope that people will be able to license their work to these companies for, if that's something they want to do, they want to take part in that. But as far as people's work just being taken and used to train these models and then the people making a ton of money off of this shit, then I'm not cool with that. That's pretty much it. I'm not against AI. I'm against screwing people over. It's very funny though when people are like, "Well, the genie's out of the bottle," which is basically just me being like, "Listen, I really like getting free stuff, so it's a bummer that you're saying it can't be free." It's like me stealing from the store and then the cops come and just be like, "Look, I got a taste for thieving. The genie's out of the bottle. You can't put it back. You're going to jail." And I go, "No, no. I need a bunch of money, actually." Do I remember the big poop boss in Conquer? Yes. I'm in 60. I do remember that. Yes. The answer is yes. I just forget how much I like this inking brush. Does Kim know how to make Vietnamese curry soup? Yes, she does. She made pho tonight from scratch. It was really good. Pho guy. Do I remember when Strider Huryu fought Grandmaster Mayo after discovering the truth of the third moon plan, and Grandmaster Mayo said all sons of old gods die? I don't remember that, Ryan, but it sounds familiar. Is that from the PlayStation one? Because if it is, I played it. Thanks for your take, Dave. Yeah, I'm on the same boat, I guess. I've been checking Stable Diffusion, and it's pretty freaky. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's not great, but what are you gonna do? It's a bummer. But they're figuring it out. I mean, there's been a ton of talk, and hopefully there's gonna be some sort of law around this, some regulations in place to protect people. Okay. I'm gonna check out of here, say goodnight to you all, because I feel like I've tested this out long enough. It feels good. The stream's running pretty smoothly, it seems. So I feel good about bringing people on, having regular streams where we talk, hang out. I kind of figured that this one was just gonna keep shutting off over and over, but it seems like it's very stable, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out. Yeah, great to be able to do this way out in the middle of nowhere. I was not expecting this to work, so I'm really happy about that. I thought I'd definitely have to rely on like Starlink or something, but nope, it's great. Yeah, Dan will probably be on. I'd have Kim on, but we don't really have a. I guess she could call in on her phone, but her phone is dying. Her phone is getting crushed. Yeah. But alright, I'll talk to you all soon. I hope you have a good night, and for all the patrons, posts are coming because we're finally out of the hole.